Hey, what's up? In this episode, we're going to talk about the DJ Expo in Atlantic City. Also, a big, huge, crazy argument discussion.
If you thought the Deadmau5 thing was fun, watching me and JD disagree, we really disagree on this trap thing. So
let's talk about trap music.
Yes, we're going to do that
right now.
This is Remix Report with your hosts, DJ JD and DJ J Spring.
Today's video brought to you by YourDJSkins.com. Pimp your gear today.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Remix Report. I'm DJ JD.
I'm DJ J Spring, and this is another weekend recap done on a Thursday early morning, which you guys are going to see Thursday during the day, hopefully.
Midweek weekend recap.
Because you were at the Casino Music Conference that just occurred.
The Atlantic City DJ Expo. Yes, DJ Times, DJ Expo.
I like your official names that you have for these things.
Your jokey names. No need for that. But
I'm sure you'll discuss that.
Yeah, we're going to talk all about that.
We have other fun stuff. First, we'll start off the usual, where we were. So where were you this weekend?
Well, Friday night, I did a show with Pauly D. Opened up for him up at the Mass Mutual Center, a show put on by NV Concepts. So shout out to Tim and Rich and everybody else at NV Concepts. Definitely a dope show, and they're doing great things. Yeah, it was a great show. There was probably about 2,000 people there.
It was a foam party, right?
It was a foam party, and the foam was dope. I didn't go in the foam or anything, but Danny Rocks, who is Pauly's opening DJ, did go in the foam. It was definitely a fun time, and shout out to them. Jerry as well. Pauly's whole crew is just like, they're all wicked nice and fun to hang out with. And the one thing I can say is definitely they all just want to have fun and have their party be really fun and have everybody at the party have a good time. And they put on a good show, and definitely Pauly has gotten way better over the last year than I ever would have anticipated.
But I thought he did good when he was at Shrine.
He did. And his show was like half house, half hip hop. And yeah, he was definitely better this weekend even than at Shrine. And I mean, I guess DJing a few days a week for like a year and a half or whatever it's been now.
That'll help anybody.
That'll help you get better. So,
I actually wanted to mention how this is a good time to mention it. I was reading the comments in I believe it was the top 10 earning DJs, and Pauly was obviously on that list. We talked about that. Was it last weekend?
I believe last week, yep.
And people are just hating on him so hard still, and it just amazes me the stuff I read. One guy actually wrote, "Pauly is a disgrace to EDM," which I don't even know what that means really.
That just makes no sense because he's not like strictly a house DJ. He's an open format DJ. So I don't see that at all. And
if anything, I give him credit in the other Jersey Shore cast for they kind of they were into the whole house thing before house really blew up here. I remember as a DJ, as house was growing at the beginning stages, people were still calling it techno, and you still had a lot of people out there who weren't used to hearing 130 BPM songs that weren't pop, and they would always, again, still call it techno, and they'd be fist pumping and acting like they were on Jersey Shore. You'd hear them say, "Oh, this is Jersey Shore music." And so kind of Jersey Shore kind of helped maybe introduce this country a little bit more, or introduce a larger part of the country to house music. And those guys were definitely pioneers, really. They liked it before everyone else did here.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I mean, like you said, everybody was like talking about Jersey Shore music, meaning house. And so they definitely had a big influence on that. So Saturday night, I was up in Boston DJing our friend DJ Costa's wedding up there. He's a DJ for our company, DJs at the Estate in Boston and Shrine and a lot of places. And he was actually voted Boston's #1 DJ, club DJ 2 years in a row, I believe.
DJ Costa.
So shout out to him and Ali. Congratulations.
That was Sean Paul. That's his drop that he was.
It's a dope drop, yeah.
Did I sound like him at all?
Not really, no.
Sorry.
Definitely was a really fun wedding. They had great introductions, like for their grand entrance. One groomsman and bridemaid couple came in to the Hulk Hogan theme, and they were dressed up like Hulk Hogan and like ripped shirts and everything. And then
what's funny is I started watching that video. I couldn't do it.
Couldn't
And
do it.
I couldn't watch it.
Man, it was a lot of fun. It was
And
awesome.
if you at your wedding think like I'm gonna do like some funny little dance,
Oh yeah.
like I've been at a wedding before.
So what song are you gonna come out to?
I've been to a wedding before where it was my cousin's wedding, and I was at a table. I think my parents were at the main table. I was at a table with some other kids my age, and I still call myself a kid. And the DJ was playing like this weird musical chairs game or something. I'm just like, I can't do this. I'm not gonna do this.
I'll have you.
And so people at my table were like, "Oh, come on, stop being a
You
party
just gotta
pooper."
have fun, man. Have fun.
I'll tell you this: if it comes down to me doing some silly thing or you getting married, the wedding will be called off because I will not do any jokey stuff like that.
I'll have you come out to the Dexter theme. How about that?
Perfect.
Awesome. Or Psycho Killer, one or the other.
That's what I could do.
So that was definitely a fun wedding. Our boss was there, so I mean, no pressure or anything.
I read on Facebook everyone was raving about you.
It was a really fun time. Definitely.
Awesome.
So thank you to everybody who said nice things about it.
Congratulations to Buddy.
Absolutely. One thing that did happen up there was I had to rent a U-Haul trailer to get everything up there. A few weeks ago, I got some uplighting, which came in a huge case, so everything doesn't fit in my truck like it used to. So until I can find time to actually go out and buy a trailer, I'm renting U-Hauls on the weekends. So I rented one on Friday, loaded everything up, went and did the Pauly D show, stayed overnight there. It was raining like crazy that night, like tornado warnings and all this stuff. Drove to Boston the next day, started unloading everything, and I open up the trailer and everything is like wet, which means I'm like looking at the trailer, I'm looking at the roof, I'm like looking for holes, no holes. Pretty sure it was all the seal around the door.
It means your little trailer isn't built. Most cars and trucks are built. Oh, they're waterproof.
Yeah.
My truck is waterproof. Yours
Exactly. Yeah. This the waterproof aspect was not in effect this weekend for me. So,
is it a fixable problem?
yeah, I mean, I don't think anything was permanently damaged. I took everything out of their bags and cases and let things dry out before I turned them on. And I mean, it was mostly the speakers, which were in cloth bags, that were the biggest issue because the cloth obviously soaked up the water. You take the speakers out, and like the whole outside of the speaker is like damp. And nothing, there weren't like puddles or anything like that anywhere, but it was wet, and wet and electronics do not mix.
No.
So I wasn't too thrilled about that, but the night worked out great, and I don't think anything is permanently damaged. So hopefully that is the case.
That's good.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good. I was at Shrine on Friday. It was a pretty good crowd. And I was at Scorpion Bar on Saturday, which Saturdays at our casino are just always insane. Fridays are always good. Saturdays, just another level. They're just insane. Scorpion Bar is always different because you're like right on top of the crowd. So it's always a challenge when there's no security guards there and you kind of have to protect your neck.
Fend
like
for
Wu-Tang
yourself,
said.
yeah.
So I got through another Saturday. I know I want to say there was a fight there a couple weeks ago, and being that you're kind of in the middle of the crowd, it can be tough you got to really make an effort to protect your stuff because you're right there. One thing I will say, and this is something I've been noticing a lot lately, this is a conversation that I've been wanting to have with all our viewers, and I want to get your feedback. This could maybe lead to, maybe we could do this as a topic of the week next week. I apologize to you, JD, for starting our discussion part a little bit early, but because I know you have this very organized.
That's all right.
I'm getting a feeling that the way people view DJs is very, very skewed by how big the crowd is and how crazy the night is. And I tend to hear, I don't know how it is across the country for the rest of you guys, but what I described at the casino as for Fridays being busier than, or I'm sorry, Fridays not quite being what Saturdays are. I know that's at a lot of different places in New England, at least. I don't know. Do you think that goes on across the country where Saturdays are pretty much the bigger night?
I mean, I've traveled a little bit recently, like to Pittsburgh and Reading, Pennsylvania, and I've definitely noticed similar trends. Yeah.
So, again, where I'm going with this is that I always hear people say the Saturday DJs killed it. And I always seem to get, like at Shrine, for instance, when I do Fridays there, I always get more compliments on the busy nights. And I can actually say that I've done it, I think, recently I've done 4 Fridays, I believe. And the first night, I probably got the most compliments. That was actually probably the busiest night. But that was probably my best set that I played there. And I actually did, I'll say that I did do a good job that night. Last Friday, I don't think I was really that great. And I still got probably a pretty good amount of compliments. And that was one of the busier Fridays that I did there. But even beyond that, I've just been noticing people. It's always busy nights and Saturdays when people say the DJs killed it. I've just been noticing that so much. And I feel like if you were auditioning a DJs or 2 different DJs at clubs and you had one do a Friday night and then the next one do a busier Saturday, I just feel like it's such a big advantage. And I almost want to quit my career doing other nights besides Saturdays and just come in, DJ 4 times a month, 4 or 5 times a month, depending on how many Saturdays there are, and just be known as like a straight assassin who just every J Spring club night he just murders it. Just because when I play Where Have You Been, everyone has their hands in the air, they're singing because the club's full of 1,300 people.
And definitely the amount of people definitely helps the energy. I mean,
just so
people say the DJ killed it because the energy in the room is higher, and that is all due
You
to
could
people.
be playing, if you have a busy night, if you're playing, think of a mellow song that's around, let's say you're playing Replay by Ayaz,
Okay.
and it's like just a packed night. If you scratch in that if you're feeling drunk, put your hands in the air at 128, if you just, for whatever, just cut to it, the LMFAO shots, that crowd will just erupt. Everyone's hands will be in the air. And just from the vibe, it's just, because I remember playing shots at Scorpion this past Saturday. It was just insanity. And I just laugh when I see that because I didn't even do anything. I just put on shots. Everyone's just going nuts.
It's like a given, yeah.
So I can see how people get skewed, especially if they're a worker in the club when you're not really paying attention, but you can still feel the vibe, and you just see I'm playing and you see everyone's with their hands in the air going absolutely nuts. Even though I didn't do anything, I just put on shots. I can see where some people would get that feeling. And I've been thinking about it even more, and I have a theory. And one of my theories beyond the vibe part of it is that when you're DJing for a night, especially one, I was going to say that's not as busy as Saturday, but let's go even further. Let's take a night that's a little bit slower than normal. When you're doing that, you have to work a lot harder, and you're not playing your normal set for the most part because you'll try some different stuff and you'll see it's not working. So you might not even, you're just like, you know what, this isn't working. I can't lose this small crowd that I have. You might just cut to a whole different genre without trying to play your maybe transition songs that you normally use. You're constantly trying to get the crowd, to awaken the crowd, and you have to do stuff you wouldn't conventionally do.
Yeah, more drastic transitions.
And the fact that you're just, I think I was talking to my friend DJ Flip about this thing, so shout out to DJ Flip, and he made a good point. When I started saying what I was just saying, he said, you know what, you also tend to switch genres a lot quicker when there's a smaller crowd because you can't afford to lose anyone's interest. So that's another thing that happens. So you're just not playing the same set as you would when you're DJing for a full crowd for the most part.
You can definitely struggle a little more, so you're not maybe as creative because you're just focusing more on trying to keep those people dancing. Yeah.
And even worse than that, if there's a crowd that's just really, really small for whatever reason, you almost feel like, I'm talking really small here, you feel like you don't want to start quick mixing and stuff because then you just look stupid. And also another thing is you can't play those crazy build-up house Dutch songs when you have a smaller crowd either. So those are some differences that you got to keep in mind when you're judging a DJ who does a slower to average night versus someone who's DJing an absolutely insanely packed night.
Yeah.
So I want to hear what you guys think about this because I've really been noticing this lately.
Yeah, you don't hear on like, I don't know, Wednesdays or Thursdays that are not usually as busy. Oh, that DJ killed it. Those 20 people were freaking dancing their asses off.
No, it's just
no, you don't hear that.
You don't, and I wonder
Even
if
if
anyone
they
else.
were, even if they were.
We're gonna make this a topic of the week. I think next week. I don't know what the exact question will be, but you guys can leave comments now too, because this is what I like about our site. Because I never really heard anybody talk about this before, and that's what we're here for. Is we want to spark this kind of discussion, and we're curious to hear what you guys think about this. So, again, sorry to bring the discussion part earlier than normal, but
It's okay. We'll let it slide.
thank you. I felt someone had to say it.
You had to get it off your chest. I understand.
So I think now is the time where you're going to talk about what's the official name you have for this?
The DJ Expo?
Okay.
Yes.
I'm very excited for the DJ Expo 2013. I've already planned it, and I'm very excited for it. So I'll definitely be there to everyone who asked where I was.
Yes. And people did ask. A lot of people.
People asked me to, and I'm sorry I couldn't make it, but
Yeah. So I was down at the Expo on Monday and Tuesday in Atlantic City. See, Monday, I guess some highlights of the trip were getting to hang out with Vice on Monday night. Went around with him to Murmur and Mix, and Lil Jon and Jermaine Dupri were also DJing that night at both clubs. So got to kind of just see. I'd never seen Jermaine Dupri or Lil Jon actually DJ before, so I got to check them out. Both really put on a great show, of course, and they're on the mic and hyping the crowd up all the time. And Vice just absolutely killed it on both sets that he did. So
I thought it was funny. Your fiance on her Twitter, she wrote Lil Jon and spelled John John, but then I just noticed on the notes that you spelled it that way too.
I did. I know it's not right, but I'm proper when I'm typing. I guess I don't know.
Little Jonathan, little John.
He is short. I mean, Jermaine Dupri is short too. They might. I mean, they could probably go for a contest on who's shorter.
They always say celebrities are shorter in person when you don't expect them. Except when I met Gronkowski.
He's tall. He's big.
He was pretty tall.
Big guy. Also caught Inferno doing his live remix project both at the Expo and at Murmur on Tuesday for the Mood Swing 360 party. And if you haven't seen any of his newest videos, I'm gonna post some videos that I shot of him doing the live remix project. But his sets now are just so much further even than they were. I wouldn't say further, but they're a lot more accessible to normal club goers. So without kind of changing the vibe and doing really long build-ups, he's kind of morphed it into a much more high energy, dance oriented live remix set. And it just goes over really well and sounds amazing. And you're still just sitting there watching him I can't believe someone is actually doing this right here in front of everybody and just killing it.
I just want to give Inferno a shout out. Obviously, I'm not even talking about the skill side of what he's doing because that's so amazing. Obviously, every DJ who watches that will understand that. I'm talking about just the whole being different thing and doing something different, which is something we're going to talk about later on. But just in terms of that aspect, he's doing something that not many other people are doing. I know there's certain guys, what is it, Arab
music.
Arab music who plays dubstep sound by sound, and he has his own little niche. Inferno, what he's doing is just crazy. It's definitely different. So it's something hopefully I'll get to witness firsthand one of these days.
Yeah, and I mean he's doing it at a whole different level than pretty much anybody out there who's even attempting to do this kind of thing. So he's just killing it. Also shot some videos with the Video Report guys. Also here on Remix Report, Joshua Carl and Eloy. Monday night at the Harrah's pool party put on by Promo Only.
I saw they had a picture with them sitting down with Fat Man Scoop. So is that something we can look for on our site?
Absolutely, that's going to be up soon. Shout out to Flipside from the Jump Smokers and Seraphine. I did a little interview with them.
I didn't realize you did an interview.
Yeah, that you'll be able to check out. And then we also met up on Tuesday on the exhibit floor to do some video report / remix report stuff. So definitely look for that stuff. Lots of cool stuff there. A few other highlights from the expo hall itself. They have an exhibit hall where all the vendors are there to kind of show off their new products.
So they did unveil some new products.
Well, Pioneer unveiled this new Aero mixer thing. It's you can wirelessly control this little
I did
controller
hear
from
about
your
that.
iPad and all that kind of
From your
stuff.
phone too.
Yeah, from your phone. Interesting. Not really for me. More for other people.
That
I
was
guess,
always
but-
my dream, was that I could DJ from my phone one day. And I also dreamed of the day when customers could come up and say, I have a request. It's on my phone. It's me rapping. Can you play it? I know you can because you have this Pioneer thing.
No, not gonna happen. So I did get to check out though the Pioneer RMX 1000 effects unit. That was the first time I actually got to get my hands on that. Really sick. It has like dope build-ups, and it's basically the replacement to the EFX 1000, which if you know what that is. Also got to play with the Rain 62 mixer for the first time. Definitely really dope. It actually has filters on it, kind of like the Pioneer mixers do. It's only a 2-channel. The buttons feel really good on it, and I gotta say, I think they did this one right.
Buttons feel really good.
Yeah, the buttons for the cue points and stuff like that. You don't use cue points, so you wouldn't know.
I use them.
Little known fact.
I use them. I just rewind to get there.
Also got to check out the emulator, which most people I've seen used with Tractor. It's a touchscreen MIDI interface, basically really cool looking at least, and actually pretty responsive as well. And actually using it, I think that'd be kind of fun to play with some more. What else? It was just kind of cool to just go around and just see all the gear and just see a lot of great DJs, people that we know from online and never really get to see in person or haven't seen since like Miami, things like that. A lot of people we haven't seen in a long time. Also, shout out to DJ
I
Book.
still haven't seen them.
Yeah, shout out to DJ Book for having their booth there as well. Some of our friends put that together, so that site will be launching soon. So definitely stay tuned for that.
2013. I'm there.
So definitely want to shout out Jeff from Promo Only for hooking us up. Josh and Eloy.
You up?
Yeah, Josh and Eloy. Well, us being me and my
He does.
fiance.
Well, he does hook me up too with the other stuff. He hooks our site up.
Josh and Eloy for Video Report. Mood Swing for the Mood Swing party at Murmur. Nightlife Media Labs, Alex Nepa, and everybody there who were giving these shirts while selling these shirts down there. Paris Hilton's favorite DJ. If we have time, or if I have time to do a little video photo montage of things, I will put it right here.
So is that shirt, was it made just for you, or they were actually giving that same shirt? Like
They
you're,
were selling it. Yeah.
oh, so you're not really Paris Hilton's favorite, like other people.
Might be.
Okay,
Just because other people have the shirt doesn't mean that's what they are. It's just one of us is.
that's true.
It's just which one. It's a guessing game.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, it was an awesome time. Definitely looking forward to next year.
2013. I'm there.
A lot of people came out. I would love to see a lot more West Coast guys come out because I know it's kind of East Coast centric.
Are you going to pay for their plane tickets next time?
No, definitely not. But I don't know. I have nothing to say about that. But
Okay.
I think they should come out because it's a great time, great networking event,
It's like WMC minus the house music.
and minus like the normal people, like the general public. It's
Okay.
like a lot of people said it's what WMC used to be, which was really just people in the industry going down there, listening to the music that they loved and networking with people in the industry. Now WMC is just a big rave party basically for a week. And it seems like the expo is now that networking event where you can actually just go and talk to people in your industry and talk shop like we do. And
So are you saying the DJing part of WMC has now moved to AC?
I believe
Next
so.
year.
I
Okay.
believe so. And shout out to I did get to meet a lot of Remix Report viewers. So shout out to all you guys who tracked me down, and it was great meeting everybody and hearing what you guys like about the site. And
Did you find anybody who like really despised it?
just one person.
One person, okay.
No, I really didn't.
No,
But
all right, good.
yeah, it's always refreshing to hear that, and it kind of reinvigorates us to keep going and work harder and
Definitely.
do more cool, fun stuff.
And not take weeks off like we did a couple weeks ago.
That will happen every now and then. I mean, life happens, but all right. So let's move on to the news section. Last week, if you saw the closing ceremonies for the Olympics, pretty crazy show, but also Fatboy Slim was right there in the middle of it. I would say he was pretty much Milli Vanilli-ing it on there, because he didn't really have. It didn't look like the equipment he had was plugged in. It wasn't really normal equipment he would ever use.
We got to talk about the Z Trip article, because I think he discusses the Milli Vanilli thing as well.
I would say the closing ceremonies at the Olympics are slightly different than just a normal festival show or concert show. I mean, this is an enormous production. I mean, all the singers are doubling their vocals also. I mean, everything's double tracked, and I mean, yeah, I wouldn't really worry about it for the Olympics, but it was a good show.
You're allowed to Milli Vanilli at one place, and one place only.
The
It
Olympics.
happens every 4 years that you're allowed to Milli Vanilli.
Unless you're an athlete.
Oh, by the way, I thought of, how sick is this name? If any DJ wants to take this name, I'm not going to take it. Insane Bolt. That'd be a sick DJ name, so
Ooh.
I'm just throwing that out there.
All right. Let's see. On RollingStone.com, they're talking about Avicii being the first DJ to perform at Radio City Music Hall in New York, normally known as a pretty traditional music venue. So, I mean, it's definitely a pretty big deal to have a DJ play there. Kind of like some of the first DJ performances at Carnegie Hall with DJ Radar and things like that.
What about when you perform there?
I sang there, but not DJing, but that would have been dope. Also, the EDM Snob has a really interesting article out just this week. Leaked DJ Mag internal documents reveal secret payments, basically from house DJs that kind of paid an advertising fee to DJ Mag and ended up getting nice, positive reviews and features in the magazine.
See, I thought EDM Snob was just a cool guy like us who likes to get on here and talk about stuff. I didn't realize he was actually doing investigative reporting as well.
Oh yeah, he's definitely putting some work in there, and definitely shout out to him. Keep on doing that work, because definitely interesting
I do
reading.
enjoy this. One other link that I want to throw out there is on the DMS blog. They just showed a video of Marley Marl, and he went over how he produced "Mama Said Knock You Out" by LL Cool J. He kind of went through, and it's one of those things where you got to respect the old school guys, even if some of what they're doing isn't as up to date. Obviously, all you young house producers or guys who are getting into electronic music, or even people producing hip hop today, aren't going to learn anything from this video. But this goes to show that you got to respect the pioneers, because if it wasn't for guys like that, we wouldn't be doing what we are now, and the music never would have progressed. And I'm sure that actually Marley Marl probably could produce hip hop beats today as good as any of these other guys. I'm not sure about the electronic stuff. I don't think he ever dabbled in that, but this video was interesting to say the least. And did you know, I think it came from I think it was a Pointer Sisters sample that
Really?
he used, I believe, for Mama Said Knock You Out. And he played, if it was Pointer Sisters, he used a different song of theirs to get the break beat and added it to a popular James Brown breakbeat, played two of those beats at the same time, and that's how the beat came. And he actually he let us hear something that we've never heard before at the end of the video, which is he kept bringing up the vocal that LL recorded for the Rock remix that never came out,
It never came
an
out?
exclusive vocal,
Damn.
which would have been kind of dope.
Why didn't they ever release the rock remix?
He didn't say, just never came out.
It's too bad.
Yeah, but you know what's really funny? A very good story for those of you who aren't going to watch the video, even though we're telling you to. I don't know if you remember that part in, I think it's the beginning of the song where he goes, "Man, come on." You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
That was LL Cool J mad at the recording engineer because he, I guess he kept bringing the song back when LL just wanted him to let it run. So he just said, "Come on." And it wasn't any acting. Because when these guys spit, they've usually spit their rhymes a couple times to maybe a lot more times. And it's almost a lot of guys, when you've said a rap that many times, it's almost like acting in a way when you go in to record your verse, because you're trying to bring that emotion to it, even though the words don't have the same meaning when you've read them that many times. This was just raw emotion. That's what Marley Marl said he liked about this. He was like legit yelling at the recording engineer. He's like, "You know what? We're going to keep this in the song." So that's how that stayed.
That's sick. It's always those little accidents that make for like some of the greatest parts of songs, I think. So
I think you guys should watch that. I think it's called Marley Marl's Recipes. I think he's going to do other videos too. So shout out to the DMS blog. Shout out to Kevin Scott. I'm going to give him a shout out later on too, because Kevin Scott said something I really enjoyed on Twitter today.
yeah. All right, moving into the discussion section. You found a cool site called fakers.statuspeople.com, which tells you how many fake followers people have on Twitter. Not only fake, but inactive or good followers also.
You know what? Let's be honest about things real quick, because honesty is always the best policy. And we try to be honest with ourselves on this site. As a DJ, whether you're lying to yourself, or not so much yourself, whether you lie to other people about your status, we all pretty much know where we stand in the game. I'm sure there are some delusional guys out there, but most of us know exactly where we are. If you want to say there's Tiesto who's at the top, or is Tiesto at the top? He's right there if he's not. Yeah. And you want to go down to the guy who maybe who you would consider the top of open format. I know. I mean, if you're going to rank them based on earnings, I guess that's not the worst way to do it, because the guys who aren't making as much as the guys who are always trying to think of ways that they could improve where they're standing to get up to where the guy ahead of them is. So if you want to say like a DJ Vice, who's at the top of the open format world for sure, and I'm sure he's doing stuff. You said he destroyed it.
Absolutely.
I'm sure he's doing stuff to try to take his career to the next level and move up a spot from where he is now. If you want to rank the guys like that, all the way down to your local guys, you pretty much know where you stand. I mean, if there's 5 clubs in your area, if you're doing the best club and you have a guy who's doing the local bar who just started, versus you're at the best club and there's those open format guys you look up to, you kind of know where you are in that range. And usually Twitter followers, for the most part, they're gonna be in a ratio to how far that you've moved along in your DJ career. And when you see something wacky, when I say wacky, I mean someone who you would consider kind of below you on the totem pole, and or equal, and they have a lot more followers than you. You kind of have the feeling that something's up.
Like 10 or 20 times the followers, or 100 times the followers.
There's other ways to earn more Twitter followers than someone else. For instance, if you're always using Twitter, that's a way that you'll get more. So if you're equal to someone else and you're always using it, you will get more followers, or if you promote it more.
Yeah, so let me pull up something here. So this site, you type in Twitter handle, and it tells you what percentage of their Twitter followers are fake, meaning fake created accounts, basically accounts that probably have really never tweeted before. Tells you how many what percentage are inactive, which probably means people who haven't really been on in maybe the last month or so. Then tells you the percentage that are good, which are active Twitter users. So like if you go on to the site fakers.statuspeople.com, type in remix report, it shows you we only have 1% fake, 11% inactive, and 88% good, which I think those are pretty awesome numbers.
You read the numbers like they're 3 different stats. The 88% good, just it kind of shows how your fake and inactives are compared to other people.
Yeah,
it's not saying that your followers are good. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Well, it says you have 88% good followers,
Oh,
like
all right. I
people
see what you're
who
saying.
actually are true people.
So I can admit when I'm wrong. You were right. I was wrong.
Awesome. All right, all right.
You won't hear that too often
No, you won't.
because it doesn't happen that often.
So I mean, shout out to our Twitter followers who are real people. We love that you're real. So we took this and made a little graph based on the top 10 earners from last year, which was shown on Forbes, and we talked about last week. So you can see that graph probably up right now. I think I'll put it up, and it'll definitely be in the notes.
I did notice that people who I consider celebrities, which I'd consider all these people, I'm sure they all have verified accounts for the most part.
Yeah.
They're all relatively celebrities, at least in our world. They're definitely celebrities. Most of them did have at least 10%, I would say, fake, which probably means that that's probably normal with celebrities to have some fake fans out there.
Yeah, I'd say about 10% is probably average. So we also put on here how many followers they had, so you can kind of get an idea of that. I was actually surprised that like Swedish House Mafia was a top 3 earner, number 3 earner, and they don't even have 500,000 Twitter followers, which is kind of interesting. And I would actually really love to see this done with Facebook as well, but I don't think there's a way to do that at this point. But
you know what? I'm not sure exactly how I look at this. Obviously, the word fake is like a lot of negative implications with the word fake. And you can see from the chart that Guetta has an unnatural amount.
almost 40%.
Yeah. So he obviously, what happened was he had a program or he hired somebody to get him Twitter followers. And those people don't go door to door playing your music to try to get followers for you. Like it's not, in other words, it's not legit followers.
No, it's super easy. I mean, we talked about this last week, but I was just hearing more information on it this week. And you can go to eBay and type in Twitter followers, and you can get like 10,000 Twitter followers for like $20 or something like that. And they guarantee that you'll get that many followers within the next however many hours, like it could be 36 hours. So you get 10,000 followers in 36 hours for like $20. Pretty enticing. I mean, you could spend like $100-$200 and like just totally boost your Twitter reputation, I guess, and look like you're totally balling.
You know what though? See,
it would look pretty weird though. 36 hours and you gain like 100,000 fans.
See, what I was going to say is, I don't know how bad this necessarily is. I think it's completely bad, but in terms of what they're doing, I mean, what's the difference between buying fake followers on Twitter as opposed to advertising on your Facebook fan page to get followers? Is there really a difference? I mean, I know that when you advertise, supposedly you're obviously getting legit people to like your page, but either way, it's using money to boost your stats. And I don't frown upon anyone who advertises on Facebook.
I think they're totally different though, completely different, because advertising, you're trying to actually get real people to discover you and start following you, and you are trying to get their like on your page.
That's where I'll correct you. I don't think anyone who I think the main reason people advertise on Facebook is just to boost that number, and only that. There is the bonus that you might pick up real fans and it's going to be real people. I think that's a bonus.
Well, I would say advertising in general, you're trying to boost your popularity. That is one. Yeah, probably number one is boosting popularity. So whether traditionally that was just getting your name out there so more people knew it.
When you say boosting popularity, you mean boosting the number, which makes you look more popular.
Well, there didn't used to be a number like back in 10 years ago.
You're just talking about advertising in general.
In general, yeah.
Okay.
Number one is to boost your popularity. Now there's actually a number, which is your likes or followers, whatever. Second is to educate people about your product, which I think is probably very close second, because you do want people to actually like your music. I mean, if they like your page, they can just as well unlike it tomorrow,
so
and you lose that.
You're saying
follower.
People who you actually believe in your product,
Yeah.
and you want people to know about
follow
it.
you forever, so that you keep building your followers instead of having people follow you one day, unfollow you the next day, and that didn't really help you at all.
Right.
So having all those fake followers, I mean, it does maybe look good in certain people's eyes, promoters' eyes or clubs' eyes, because it looks like you're super popular. But if you're not actually super popular, that's going to end up coming out somewhere down the road. I mean, this
Yeah.
might help you short term, but I think long term, you're not going to have that long lasting career if you don't
Disagree.
actually have
I disagree.
a lot of solid
You know
fans.
what? You just echo the sentiments of our friend Brian Armand, who left a comment on our last weekend recap. He pretty much word for word said exactly the same thing you did in terms of longevity and your fans aren't real. And so in the end, he said, in the long run, it's not going to help you. I totally disagree because this is why. We talked about this before. The hardest part of getting big, or I'm sorry, the hardest part of becoming a huge DJ is getting popular. That's the hardest part. And in terms of either getting popular or getting skills, getting popular is much more difficult.
Yep,
There's a lot of good DJs who aren't popular yet.
absolutely.
So it's like once you cheat your way there, this is pretty much what we discussed during our fake it to make it thing. You cheat your way there, or buy your way there, then you just bought the hardest part, and now you can do the part
But
that's
that do-
easier, and you can
I see
actually
what you're
acquire
saying.
the skills afterwards and catch up.
No, I do see what you're saying, but you're not actually popular, which is the problem.
You're not,
and
except
And there's the risk you run if you do this and you buy a shit ton of followers or whatever, that people are just they're gonna get caught out for having your follower count jump drastically in a very short period of time. You're gonna get caught out for doing that. People are gonna know that you're faking it instead of looking like you're actually popular.
I see what you're saying, and I can definitely see instances where you're right. So I will agree with you. And now I'm going to give you an example where you'd be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
A new club, awesome club, opens up in your town, right? Brand new. This is going to be the hot spot in your town.
Cool.
There's probably about 5 or 6 or 7 DJs that are going to hand in demo CDs with a press kit that are going to look professional enough for the owners or managers to actually consider. So it comes down to these 5, 6, 7 guys. If these club owners are relatively young and they're savvy to the social media thing, I'm sure most people are nowadays. They're going to look at your Facebook, they're going to look at your Twitter, and as savvy as they might be to look at those in the first place, they're probably not savvy enough to use the website that we just showed you guys. So they may be a little naive in the way that they see the followers and they say, ooh, this guy is popular. And so let's say this club is a big deal. It ends up being a big deal. This person, because of their fake Twitter followers, got the job over other people who maybe, let's not even say that other people deserved it more. Let's just say they were all equal, but this is why the guy got the job.
Yeah.
So now he's in this club that, because he's in this hot club, is going to lead him to other jobs, and his career is going to move on and it's going to progress much further, all because he cheated and he got extra Twitter followers.
Yeah. No, I definitely
Which isn't a
can
crazy
see-
scenario that I just
No, I can
threw out there.
definitely, I can absolutely see that happening too. I mean,
So there is a benefit, and I just see with the Facebook versus the Twitter, I'm just assuming that most people, DJs, buy Facebook ads not to show their product off as much. I think they're just doing it straight for the like button
Yeah.
to be pushed. So either way, they're using money to boost your numbers. And as a DJ, I don't blame anybody for advertising. Even though, I mean, I can't really fault guys for buying, especially the like button. It's the buying Twitter followers. You're just like literally buying numbers added on. So it does leave a bad taste in my mouth. I'll never knock anybody for advertising
well,
their
the
product.
thing that sucks the most about it is that it makes everybody look at the follower number without legitimacy. It just takes
That-
legitimacy out of using that as a measuring device completely.
Plus, let me throw out a different theory here. Let me talk about my poker playing days for a second.
Oh, all right.
I don't know if this is the first time I ever really talked about what I used to do, but you'll see where I'm going with this. This is what I used to do every day. I used to play heads up, 1-on-1, 7-card stud actually, and then I moved onto Hold'em when Hold'em caught on. So this is what my day used to consist of. I've told you the story before. I would log on to the game, and it'd be a 2-person table for Heads Up. I would get my seat, and there were 6, 7, 8 towards the end of the poker days. It ended up being like 20 or 30 people at my limit who were doing the same thing I was. And if this wasn't such a secret, many more people, if they knew how easy the money was, would have been doing what I was doing. So anyway, I would sit at this table, and I would turn my computer monitors up all the way, absolutely crank them, lie down on the couch, watch a movie, wait for the loudest beep on earth, and then I would go from sleeping or napping to playing poker in like a second. I would run to the table to get the guy who sat at my table. And it was funny because there was 8 guys, let's say, doing the same thing I was. Anybody who didn't know would kind of think it was weird. Would you think it was weird if you went to the site and you're like, there's 8 people who want a game all sitting at their own table. Why aren't they just playing each other? And the reason is because we're all on there to make money. We respect all the other guys. We don't want to just beat up on each other. We want to take the suckers' money. So that's why. Where I'm going with the story is this. Eventually, one person, to increase the odds of getting a player at his table, started sitting at 4 tables. So it'd be me sitting at 1, the other 6 guys each had 1 table. This other guy had 4. Which is like, the whole reason I brought that up is because now we all kind of have to sit at 4 tables to keep up with you, so we all have the same shot at getting the next player.
Yep.
It's like, all right, hold on. Instead of you doing this and sitting at 4, let's just agree to cut this shit out, and let's all go back to 1 so we don't all have to sit at an extra 3 tables. So that's why I brought that up, is like, it's like, all right, I understand you want to boost your Twitter followers and your Facebook numbers and stuff. How about we just agree to cut that shit out and we just let it work naturally, so now we don't all have to do that just to catch up. And that goes along with the topic of the week question we asked a while back, which was, have you ever resorted to doing something you wouldn't normally do to catch up to people who are doing stuff like that? And I mean,
this is definitely one of those tactics. Yeah.
The whole thing is that this is different than the poker analogy I used in one way, and that is the DJs who are buying advertising and who are, more importantly, buying their Twitter numbers know that not everyone can afford to do that. So it's like they know that not everyone else is going to do this. So they are putting themselves ahead.
Although it is pretty cheap. Like I said, it's really not expensive to do.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We're going to talk a little bit about this whole trap music remix phenomenon.
I want to give out some shout outs real quick to people I'm going to mention in this. First of all, shout out to the Rocket Scientists. Shout out to Kevin Scott. Shout out to my friend Apathy, who's a rapper, for those of you who don't know. And shout out to my friend Jordan Laws, who most of you probably do know, big video DJ. I'm going to mention all their names. I gave Kevin Scott a shout out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
DMS blog, we mentioned that earlier.
Absolutely.
DMS in general. So I'm going to mention all them when we're talking about trap music.
All right, so trap music seems like it's just burst onto the DJ scene with some force. I really feel like in the last 3-4 weeks, maybe. A lot of people say it's been around a lot longer. I'm sure it has. No one cared about it until 3 or 4 weeks ago.
If this was Barstool Sports, you would say something to the effect of, trap music burst on the scene with the force of 1,000,000 levels. That's how trap has just taken the world by storm.
All right, if you say so. And I mean, kind of like dubstep, been around for years, didn't burst to the scene till a year and a half, 2 years ago.
I was actually comparing the two in my head. I think dubstep is way more obnoxious. I think
that's exactly one of the points I want to get to.
Yeah.
So, trap music, if you don't know a whole lot about it, it's dubstep tempo, like 70 BPM tempo, also down south hip hop tempo. It's basically combining kind of like the chopping style of B-more a little bit.
DJ Scene actually said on Twitter that trap is the new B-more.
Yeah, with down south hip hop style drums mixed with electronic music, either being a remix of a house song or just using like house type sounds in the remix. I've kind of been saying it's the opposite of Moombahton, where Moombahton obviously is a slower version of house. Kind of trap is sped up house,
So you
but
mean
half
in terms
tempo
of
as well.
the music itself, it's the opposite, because in terms of the trendiness, a lot of people are comparing it to Moombahton.
Yeah, no, trendiness wise and all kind of the feel in some ways are very similar, but they're like the opposites of each other. The one thing I would say about trap is that it isn't as obnoxious, nearly as obnoxious as dubstep is to a lot of people. It actually has like really heavy bass. A lot of it has like a good bounce to it. I've been playing a couple remixes such as the Oh Snap, Sandstorm.
I like the Munchie remix of Moomba, I believe it is.
Yep, that's a dope one.
You know, the one I heard that it's not a remix, it's an original song that I really liked before I even realized it was trap was the Bauer song, Harlem Shake. I actually like that song.
Yep.
And that song really caught my attention because now I always check the Beatport electro charts in particular. And I noticed that song just stuck out to me because it was listed as 93 BPM, even though it's actually 70, I believe. So that just stuck out to me, and that caught my attention there.
That one's dope. There's a really dope Mercy one that I've been playing, and I can't recall who actually does it right now. There's a Going Down, Young Jock trap remix. It's really dope.
I've heard a lot of people say, people who despise trap say they really hate it. And then they said even more than that, they hate trap remixes of songs that are already trap.
Well, that's teach their own. I mean, I see it as something that I can use to spice up my set. It's something that the people in the club aren't familiar with yet. It has those extra hard drums. It has some of those electro sounds, which people like, but it's got a different bounce to it and a fun bounce. And even though these remixes are not things that the crowd knows, like even on a Friday, which may not be busy, I've been playing this stuff and the crowd totally eats it up.
To me, that hey that's constantly in the background of all these songs and all the hi-hats make it sound outdated. None of the
remixes I played have that in it. So
are you serious? No, I guarantee that the remixes you play have the hey in the back. At least some of them, I would guarantee it. We're going to have to go back and listen, but I bet at least half of them have that hey in the background. I will point out...
Maybe not parts of the songs I play.
I will point out one other difference, I guess you could say, between trap and Moombahton, and you'll agree with this, is that trap 70 BPM, Moombahton 110-ish, let's say. Trap fits in with stuff that most of us open format DJs are already playing, or down south hip hop. So much easier to sneak in without even having to have a plan, really. We're already going to be playing 70 BPM for certain parts of the night. We all play Mercy in Paris and stuff, and so trap slides in a lot more easily than stuff that's at 110.
Yeah.
So
I mean, just the sounds and the vibe of it, it's much more accessible to your crowd than dubstep, which has been the other go-to thing recently, to kind of play something a little different and stand out a little bit and just play something fun.
So now that we've talked about the music itself, now it's time for the real discussion.
Which is why is everybody hating on it already when it's only been around for 3 weeks? Everybody says they're tired of it already. Like, you haven't even heard it yet. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Well,
and your crowd that you DJ for, who probably only go out to the club once every 6 weeks maybe, they probably haven't heard one trap remix yet. They're going to hear it the next time they go to the club in the next 3 weeks if they haven't heard it the last 3 weeks. And they're going to think it's interesting and cool, just like everybody I played it for has thought.
Kevin Scott would disagree with you.
That's fine. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. I mean, well, he was specifically talking about trap remixes of EDM songs, which most of them are, by the way.
So the trap you're playing isn't of EDM songs?
Well, one of them was Mercy, like I said. One's Going Down, Young Jock. And those are the two non-EDM ones I've been playing. But in Atlantic City the other day, Vice was playing a bunch, Five was playing a bunch, PS1 were playing a bunch of trap remixes. I thought they were dope. Everybody around me was really enjoying them, talking about them, like saying how it was kind of cool and fun and new. And
well, that's the thing, and that's where I disagree about it being new, especially. So this is where I've been waiting. I've been dying to because I could tell how hype you got about trap, seeing it played.
Wonderful. I can't wait to hear your wrong opinion on this. But let's
well, lately I've had a big epiphany about what it takes to make it as a DJ, and it's something we've talked about in moderation, which was you got to be different and you got to stick out, and we've talked about that on our site before.
Well, being different
And-
is nothing new.
No, you're right. Absolutely nothing new. But it wasn't until really recently that I really understood it. As that might sound weird to you, and that might sound weird to some of our viewers, but it took this long for it to actually sink into me. It was just really recently that it just sunk into me, and I kind of see the light now. And I'm gonna give shout outs to the people I already did. One, my friend Jordan Laws, who he was always encouraging me to be different, and he always gave me a lot of good advice. And I wish I had understood the whole be different thing when he used to say it to me 4 or 5 years ago. And it's not that I put it off. Maybe I just didn't have any idea of what different meant, or I just didn't understand why. Now I feel like I understand. So shout out to Jordan. And he was one of the guys, the first video DJs. He's a huge DJ now. He was one of the first guys getting into video, and he was smart for wanting to do something different. He said, I had lots of conversations about this with him, and he saw it, the opportunity. It was something different. He saw how differently creative you could be doing it. So big shout out to him for understanding that concept. He talked the talk. He actually did something different. He did that before everyone else was doing it. And I also mentioned my friend Apathy, who is a pretty big underground rapper. I know Audio One and all the other guys who know underground hip hop know who he is. He's from Connecticut, and I've known App for a while. And he's made a good name for himself, and he's made a good living off being a rapper, which you would think that if you don't know a rapper's name, which a lot of you guys who aren't into the underground hip hop won't know who App is, you would think it might be tough for them to make a good living. But he's made a more than a good living. He's made a good career. He was once signed to Atlantic, didn't work out, but he's gone the independent route, and he's putting out his own stuff now. A lot of fans, cult following. And I used to work with him a lot at our friend Chum's studio, and that was in Norwich. That was probably like 10 minutes from where we are. I used to go over there and work on my reggae mixtapes back in the day. And App, like Jordan, used to preach the same thing. You got to be different. And he, in particular, one thing that always stuck out to me that he would do is he would just utterly refuse to jump on a popular hip hop beat. And in terms of doing freestyles. And the joke that they always used to say was, what's a popular beat from back then? I'm thinking
In
about
the
like
club, something like that.
In the club. He would always joke, does the 1,000th rapper to rap on In the Club get a prize? That would always be the joke that we'd talk about in the studio. And now I kind of understand exactly what he was going for. And like I said, this is just recently. I wish this sunk into me a long time ago. This is just recently sunk into me. And it makes me think of rocket scientists now, who I didn't really understand either what we were talking about in the last interview when we had it was an interview. Goozy joined us for our weekend recap, and we mentioned how that was the first time we really mentioned trap.
Yeah,
it was probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he was talking about the early rocket scientists, the remixes they did like from a year ago. Hello, the Till I Die remix, Winter Gordon. And they also did a remix of Seek Bromance. I think they called it The Love You Seek by Amanda Wilson. That wasn't as much trap, but I didn't actually, when we did this interview and we were talking about trap with him, it made me think how rocket scientists were kind of onto something. They were kind of doing the trap-ish stuff before everyone else was doing it. I actually went back and listened yesterday. It wasn't just trap-ish. Like, their Winter Gordon mix literally had that same hey that I was just talking about in the background. That was literally trap. And same thing with the Hello. So they were doing it. I also looked at when it came out. I believe it was in early, I want to say March 2011 was when maybe the Hello remix came out. And that's not some mix that no one really knew about that they did. That was actually voted the remix of the year, I believe, in the Remy's last year.
Or most creative.
One of the
Most
two.
creative, I think.
So people definitely knew about that remix. And my question to everyone else out there, I'm going to ask you the same question. And I'm not trying to say ha ha or anything like that, because it's something that we all see stuff that we wish at the time we'd taken advantage of, or we thought about it differently. But my question to everyone is, why are you excited about this now? Why does it take everyone getting hype about something for you to want to start remixing that track? Why didn't you see rocket scientists doing this a year ago, and why didn't you say that's awesome back when they were doing it? Why does it take for everything to get popular for you to do it? And I could pose a question to myself, like, I mean, I saw the Inhumans doing In the Club, the Nine Inch Nails mashup they did. I didn't really start doing that stuff for a while after, till the mashup era got big. So I mean, this is stuff we all wish we had noticed something when it came out like that. But all I'm saying is that this is just, obviously this is a trend, and I don't know how I feel about it. I compare this to Levels, because it's like once Levels blew up, everyone started remixing Levels, and now that trap is sort of the flavor of the month, everyone's doing that. I know I am going to make fun of you for this. I know a couple months ago we're like starting to do our own production, and a couple months ago you were excited about Moombatone, and now you're like trap is like the new thing, and I don't know. I want to.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's the way. If you want to be different, and I think in a lot of ways different equals successful. If you want to be different and successful, this isn't the only way to do it, but I think you have to think outside the box. And I don't think necessarily going for these trends is the way to go. I think it's best if you find a sound and you try to stick to it. And I say there's two ways to really get popular. It's find a sound you like, be consistent with it, or to jump on a trend way before everyone else does, before everyone else starts doing everything, and be one of the first people to do it. Obviously, there are other ways to get popular too, but I see those two ways. And I want to ask you this. For a DJ now to go full-fledged into trap, do you think that's a good idea or a bad idea? Do you think you can actually get popular now by jumping on this trap thing after everyone has already done it? Because I was kind of searching trap remixes yesterday on Google, and for every old or popular house song, there is a trap remix already for that. Sandstorm, there's like 1 million of them. And again, I'm not the biggest supporter of trap in terms of whether I like it or not. There are some that I do like that I mentioned earlier, but I just don't know how I feel about all these DJs jumping on it if they're just wasting time. Like, obviously, I know for a fact, I don't even have to ask you the question, I know you wouldn't recommend that a DJ do a Levels remix right now. I mean, if he's playing these huge shows, it might not be the worst thing to have your own version of Levels.
Your
I'm saying
association of Levels and trap music is totally off base.
No. Here, my comparison is that
there is no
if you remix Levels, you'd be remixing something that 1 million other people have already remixed.
Not only 1 million other people have already remixed that's one particular song, but it's like 6 months after the peak of that song.
All right, let me rephrase
totally
it. Let me ask you a different question. Is it a good idea for everyone to jump on something that everyone else is jumping on? I mean, can it be too late, even when something's fresh? Like, trap is still relatively fresh, but the secret's
Yeah,
out
you
of the
could have
bag.
said the same thing about when dubstep was first blowing up, but it stuck around for a while. So if you were on it in that first rush, then you might have gotten lucky.
Not everyone had access to producing dubstep, though. That's the difference.
Well, there is a difference. I mean,
Trap is very easy to produce.
some of it, yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I've been playing isn't just like mashup, be more style trap music, like a lot of stuff that you're talking about with the haze in the background. The stuff I've been playing mostly is like produced with house sounds with that trap feel to it. So I think we might be talking about totally different kinds of music, but and I don't think it's stupid to jump on a hot trend at the moment. Obviously, I wouldn't
You definitely
suggest.
have to. As an open format DJ, you have to get into it a little bit because you
Yeah.
have to please your crowd. I understand that.
Okay, so what was your question then?
My
I mean,
question
I wouldn't tell someone to go full fledged and only play trap music and only produce trap music. That's your future. I mean, that would be ridiculously stupid. So, no, I wouldn't say that. I never said that. That would be ridiculous. I mean, everybody's going crazy on how it's blown up so fast. And I mean, like I said, the people that go to the club, actual normal club goers, not DJs, have no idea what this is yet. They probably never even heard it before. So you doing a trap remix, maybe it's not going to be an amazing hit among the DJs because I mean, there's 5 million remixes of that particular song you did or whatever. But the people at your club have never heard it. They don't know what it is. So it's interesting and new to them. So
Let me read the Kevin Scott thing. Kevin, me and you are just we're right. We understand this. He said, trap remixes of EDM songs need to crawl back into whatever hole they came from and stay there. And he also said on Twitter, and I'm going to paraphrase now because we don't have the exact quote written. He also said that he doesn't really see where the need for this is because, and again, he's talking about
exactly
the EDM remixes. He doesn't understand where the need for this is because hip hop people aren't going to like these remixes,
Disagree.
and house people aren't. They're going to prefer the house over this. So this is really just for DJs, and I do agree with.
I totally
with
disagree.
Kevin.
100% disagree with that. Not just for DJs. Like I said, it's for your normal club goers that aren't house heads, aren't hip hop heads. They just enjoy going to the club and listening to music. This is stuff.
Not too
that-
many. Not too many of those people exist. We always talk
What are
about
you talking about?
we
This is
talk
the
about-
open format club.
I know, but
Open format is for people that like lots of different kinds of music, aren't just strictly house heads. They're going to go to the house club. Aren't just strictly hip hop heads. They're going to go to the hip hop club. They're not going to go to the open format club. The open format club is for your average person in the United States.
But-
That's what it's for. And this is a format that lets you add something new and fresh, a different sound, a different feel to a song that is new to those people who aren't crazy music aficionados, aren't DJs
those
downloading
people-
all these songs from record pools all day.
Those people you just mentioned do not know what Greyhound is. They do not know what even Rattle is. They
Great,
do,
good.
They're not gonna.
Fine, so
they're not
what?
gonna know these remixes that you play, and they're not gonna know the original songs. And
So what does it matter?
Because we always talk about as DJs, especially when you're talking about average people, the average club goers, we always talk about how they only dance to stuff that they know. That's one of the fundamental things about DJs.
Well, that's the interesting thing to me. Like I said, I've been playing some of these remixes that these average people don't know, that these house heads that are at the clubs, there are some house heads at the club, obviously, these remixes they don't know, and the hip hop heads that are at the club too, these remixes they don't know, and they're all wilding out on the dance floor to these remixes that I'm playing of
This is
trap.
getting so heated. We're gonna wake up all my neighbors. This is like 4:30 right now in the morning.
Whatever, you're too worried. So, I mean, I'm witnessing all these people enjoying this music at the same time. So you're saying that it's alienating these people? It's totally the opposite effect. This is not alienating anybody. It's including all these people instead of alienating certain ones. And you know, everybody, there's so many DJs out there and people talking about how they're so sick of house music. Why can't we get away from 128? I'm tired of playing all these EDM songs, the same EDM songs all night. And that's exactly the reason why I don't agree with Kevin's comment. Because,
Again, what you just said is that DJs are excited about it,
yeah, because it's something new and different.
and that's what Kevin said. The
It's
DJs
being able to
DJs are
play
into
some
this.
of those EDM songs with a completely different sound and feel.
That was Kevin's whole point, is that DJs are excited about this. This isn't for the crowd.
I disagree with that too. Like I said, I've witnessed it work very well for the crowd.
In AC,
No, at Shrine. For the last 3 weeks, I've been playing these at Shrine. Like twice a week, at least 3 times a week.
There's some
Even on
that
a
I like.
Sunday night when there's like 70 people there, and those 70 people enjoy it.
I like
mean,
how we
The
tend to
dance
be
floor doesn't lie.
we tend to be disagreeing on a lot of stuff these days, but I think that's good for our site. I think it makes for.
Makes for good conversation.
All I know is that if this is anything like the dead mouse argument, it must mean that I'm right about trap.
I don't know. I think everybody's ridiculous for saying they're sick of something that has been out for 3 weeks.
I'm not.
I mean,
I'm not
it's ridiculous.
sick of listening to it. This is what you have to understand: is I'm talking about it. I'm talking about it more in a way of, as a DJ, when I see every other DJ flocking to something, or at least the majority of DJs flocking to something, is it worth my while to try to get into it, even a little bit?
I think so. Yeah, I think we should have our hands in a little bit of everything. If you're a good, well-rounded DJ,
But see, I disagree with that.
maybe you don't want to be a good,
I
well-rounded
think you
DJ.
have to. No, but I'm trying to think beyond open format. I'm trying not to think like open format DJ. I'm trying to think of a DJ who has his own sound and one that's going to try to be consistent with that sound and build on it and not just go for the trends. Like
Well,
supersede.
we're an open format blog and we're open format DJs, so I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Because you can have your own sound as open format. As an
But you said you didn't want to talk about open format.
No,
You weren't thinking about open format. What are you thinking about then?
I'm an open format DJ who's trying to build his own sound, and eventually
But not an open format sound.
it's going to be. It's tricky.
What
It's not.
kind of sound
No,
is it?
It's not easy. It's very tricky because you have to find different ways.
Does everybody's
to play
open format
songs
sound have to be the same?
that people know? If you're remixing trap songs that have already been remixed by 1,000 other people, yes, you kind of are going to sound the same.
No, if yours is better.
It's still not a good idea to I'm really against remixing a song that 1 million people have already remixed. Unless
Based on trying to get your name out there off that remix. That's the reasoning behind that.
yes,
People don't just do remixes to get their name out there for a remix. People do remixes because they
everything.
want to do their creativity with that song. They want to put their own flavor on that song.
Totally disagree. Everything DJs do.
If you are out there watching Remix Report and you do remixes and you don't do all of them just for popularity, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, please do.
Because I think you're out there.
I think as a DJ,
If you're just that shallow to only do
99%
music to
of-
get popularity, then I mean, I don't think you'd be
99%
watching this far into this episode anyway. So.
99% of the stuff that we do is based on what it's going to bring us. I would say. I mean, we all do stuff for fun. I just did a DMS mix about a month ago, and I'm going to be doing one actually this coming week. I know you did one in the past. Those are for fun. I mean, obviously, I shouldn't say totally for fun because we're going to get some exposure from the DMS blog, and we appreciate them having us on there. But in terms of the mix I put on there, which was Cypress Hill and Tribe Called Quest, and Black Moon, I don't expect my career to be boosted from playing the old school hip hop. I did that because I enjoyed it. I had fun doing that. I'm sure you had fun putting songs you enjoyed.
And I'm sure most remixers remix because they enjoy doing it too.
I'm not. I don't think anybody remixed the levels.
I can't believe you're actually
I
saying
really-
this right now. I can't
No,
believe you're
I
actually
really-
saying
I really
that
believe it.
you don't think people are remixing because they enjoy doing it.
No,
That's ridiculous.
we're not talking about remixing as a whole. We're talking about the songs people remix. And I would say most people remix songs for a certain strategy and trying to get them out there and hoping that that people are gonna like them and they might get noticed because of that remix. I mean, all the people on Crooklyn Clan for the most part, all the people on Crack for DJs who are doing mixes are trying to give them to people to play in the club, and they're doing stuff that people want to hear.
Sometimes.
Obviously, every so often, people will remix a song because they really like it. Obviously, I'm not going to say never ever happens. But for the most part, people who are doing remixes are going to want to do popular stuff because they're going to want people to play their remix, which is the reason that everyone has free downloads and they're always pushing, giving their songs to all the sites. They want people to play their mix. And why do they want people to play their mix? Because that's how you get your name out there. Discotheque blew up. Very talented. Blew up. Well deserved. Because they put a lot of good mixes on Crooklyn Clan. And DJs were playing them like crazy. And if it wasn't for everyone playing their remixes, then I don't know if they probably definitely wouldn't be at the same point in their careers as they are now. You want people to play your mixes, and that's how you grow as a DJ. That's how you grow your popularity. So I definitely think most people do remixes to have other DJs play them and in turn to build their careers. I rest my case.
I don't hear any gavel going down at all. All right,
Is
next.
this going to be like the new Dead Mouse thing where we talk about trap every single week?
I hope not, because it's really annoying. Z-Trip wrote a dope article on inthemix.com.au called DJs Should Bring Back the Danger, basically saying that he was at Lollapalooza, I believe or Coachella, one or the other, and he was just noticing how DJs were not taking risks at all. They were just pretty much playing pre-programmed sets, or at least like their set list was already like set out. Maybe they mixed it live, whatever, but they knew exactly what they were going to play, and they weren't taking any risks, and just the creativity and the spontaneity that make a fun show, that have always made fun shows and continue to make fun shows for a lot of people, just didn't seem to be there. One of the best quotes I thought was from this article was, the technology debate boils down to the user. Technology is not at fault. It's on the user. If you have the chance, utilize it. Use the equipment. We all have access to it, but do what you want to take a shortcut in your performance. Just play songs made in the studio. It doesn't do anything for me. If you're going to push buttons, push 1,000 buttons, not 4. So
It's okay. It's very late at night right now.
yeah, use your creativity, take some chances. You'll probably be surprised at some of the chances you take actually work, and you get a better reaction than you ever anticipated.
So I can't help but, you're gonna be mad at me for bringing this. I can't help but bringing this up. We're talking about taking chances now, taking risks, and not. I can just go right back to what we just talked about and saying.
So you don't want to take a risk playing trap music. It's okay.
No, that's not the risk. You mean playing what everyone else is playing? The risk.
Have you ever heard it?
Have I ever?
Have you heard anybody play it?
I've never.
Oh, there you go.
I've never seen anybody DJ.
Oh, okay. Rest my case.
I was
down.
saying that. I was saying that as a DJ, taking risks means not remixing the same kind of music that everyone else is remixing at the moment. Taking a risk, trying to find something else that you think will catch on. Taking a risk. That's what taking a risk means to me.
Just this Twitter debate on everybody remixing trap music right now just is ridiculous to me.
Everybody is.
Everybody is not remixing trap. It is popular right now, but only for the freaking 100 people on Twitter that are in a circle just yelling at each other.
Not everybody's remixing trap. The people who are smart aren't remixing
It's
trap.
just ridiculous. I don't know. What do you think about Z-Trip's article?
I agree. And the quote that stuck out in his article for me was what he said about the Black Keys. And they're a band, for those of you who don't know. He said, imagine a band just letting a song play on a CD or something while they jumped in the crowd and ran around without playing it anymore, without actually doing any kind of work, just putting their song on and just running in the crowd and stage diving.
Yeah, they would lose all their fans, is what he said, which is true.
So it's like, how do DJs get away with doing it? People think of DJ mixing songs and stuff.
Just because it's so, people don't know exactly what DJs do. A lot of times they don't know exactly what's going on up there. It looks so technical and like crazy that they don't know that they're not doing anything. It looks like they're doing something when they're not, or they're faking it. You can fake it really easily. You can't really fake playing a guitar as well as you can moving a fader or a filter.
And I will say this about a whole trap thing. I was taking one side of the argument, which I definitely am on that side, but I do see a little bit of what you're saying, obviously.
I've gotten you to see the light on a few things throughout this episode.
I definitely am still where I stand. I stand heavily there. But this is like the classic argument. And my favorite argument that you gave, which I agree with 100%, is how the crowd looks at music and how they view it. I don't necessarily agree with your thoughts exactly on how they view it, but they don't give a fuck about DJs, which we've talked about many times. And when I see people bragging about how they use an exclusive acapella that no one else has to do a remix with, the crowd obviously does not care that you had an exclusive acapella.
It's only the other DJs that care.
Only other DJs. But see, here's where I'm torn. This is why I tend to stand on the side of the whole trap thing that I am, is that we already mentioned a million times that if you're going to become a big DJ, you have to impress other DJs and you have to stand out to other DJs. And there's definitely a gray area in this argument, which is why I say I can see a little bit of what you're saying, because it's the whole classic thing we talk about is that even if your crowd would prefer 100% that you play all the original versions of Dynamite and Yeah 3 Times, even if that's what they really fiend for, and that would make them wild out more than anything that you could do, you won't get ahead as a DJ doing that.
I'll say this. If you're going to make a name for yourself by making a trap remix, right now is the time to do it.
I think it's too
not
late.
a month from now.
I think it's too late right now.
Not 2 months from now. right now would be the time. And obviously, if your trap remix sounds like crap or sounds just like every single other one out there, it's not going to make it, and you're not going to make a name for yourself. But if you do something in that style that is unique and sounds good and works and people like, you could make a name for yourself.
And one argument I can see for your side, which goes back to the levels thing. You laughed at me so hard for, and you hate that I bring up levels that you wouldn't even let me get this far. But it's something I told you.
Ridiculous.
Something I told you before is that I can understand. On one hand, you don't want to remix levels because you won't get known for it because a trillion other people have done it. Or same thing you can say with Gaudier. But on the other hand, it is cool to take a track that you're going to play a million times, a million different nights at the club. It is cool to have your own version of it that you can play. So I can see that side of the argument.
So I mean, you make edits all the time, right?
Yes.
You haven't released any in at least a year. How many have you made? Probably tens, maybe over 100 in the last year.
Maybe.
Haven't released one of them. So you did all those and didn't get any shine from it at all. So why'd you do them?
Because they helped my live set sound a lot smoother.
Even though they're
which in turn
edits of songs that maybe have been edited a million times. Maybe there's 5 edits on DMS of that song, but you had to go make your own. Just because you enjoyed making the edit.
No, that's ridiculous. Because I made him sound the
That's
way
the
I
argument you were
wanted.
just making.
No, not at all. I made him sound. I can tell you exactly how it benefited me. I made him sound exactly the way I wanted him to sound.
Which is exactly why someone might make a trap remix of a song that everybody else has remixed because they want it to make it the way they want it to sound for their set.
Which I agreed with. I brought that point up before you did. When I'm talking
You
about
did not
making
agree
levels.
with that. You were totally disagreeing
What
with
I just say about having a version of a song that you can play to call your own. I understand why that's cool for your side. I understand that part. I just, the way I see this right now, and I can sum this up like this. What you said, now is the time to, there's still a chance to get big by making a trap remix, but you got to do it now. The way I think now, after I've had this epiphany, is that I say, yes, maybe you're right, but I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to leapfrog those guys. And I'm going to try to think of something even more creative that might be the new trap. And I'm going to spend my time trying to think about that. That's this epiphany that I've had.
All right.
And I know that if I succeed in whatever I do, whether people like it or they don't like it, if they like it, I won't get any shine off this. If they do, then I will. I know either way that it's going to be different. So people probably more apt to give it a listen than if I do the 100th Sandstorm trap mix.
Agreed.
So again, we both disagree on this, but I can see your side of it a little bit. I don't know. This is an argument that's more than about just trap. It's about DJ philosophy, I feel like.
It is.
Okay. So should we just leave it there and say we have different philosophies?
We may.
Okay.
I think it's too late at night to really understand
Yeah, I don't
if we
know.
do or not.
Yeah. Maybe we'll watch this 5-hour video that we just put out.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm sure everybody out there watching us, if you've made it this
Do
far,
you think people are still watching this?
I don't know. If you are, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
This is one of those videos.
And if you are still watching, please leave a comment and let us know your thoughts on this whole topic, because I want Jay Spring to see that everybody agrees with me.
You know, one
And
thing
he wants
that
to see that everybody disagrees with me.
I want to mention.
let us know which side you fall.
I gotta mention one more thing. I'm sorry to do this.
Oh, Jesus.
I always have one more thing, don't I? I always do.
Three one more things at least.
We agreed when we started this site that we weren't going to keep secrets. We let all our secrets out. There is one secret that we both agree we're not going to let out, and that's some of the mixes that we plan on doing and stuff like that. There's a limit to that.
Yes.
Some of our strategies that we're going to use to get big. We're going to hopefully get big. We're going to try like everyone else is. We're gonna keep some of those strategies to ourselves, and hopefully you guys can understand that. Although now that we hopefully have some remixes coming out in that we can see in the foreseeable future, we're getting closer to that day when we actually come out with some stuff. We're gonna try to take you guys along on the ride with us, and we're gonna give you some behind the scenes footage. But in terms of, there's still gonna be some secret stuff. So with that said, I will say that I did have this certain mix that we planned on doing that was gonna be a dubstep remix of a house song. And I was joking to my friend, you gotta admit, this is kind of funny. You
That is
laughed
kinda
when
funny,
I
yeah.
told you this. we like to decide on our remixes how far along they are when we go over what we still need to do.
You do.
I
You
do.
put this number to them. Yes.
I said, me and our partner, the third wheel, John Cardona, we said that this is probably about 10% done. I just pretty much laid it
As a
out.
dubstep
As a
remix,
dubstep
yeah.
remix, I just kind of laid out what we wanted to do.
5 to 10 maybe.
5-10%. But it turns out, if we decide not to go the dubstep route, and we decide to make this a trap remix, it's about 90% done, which give or take.
75. I'd say 70. But yeah, much further along.
But
in
it
the
is
process.
kind of, you got to admit that is kind of funny, and I just
I think
that's one of the reasons.
trap music, just normal trap remixes, not super creative ones, are much easier to do than most original production. I mean, this
That
this
makes me
goes back
skeptical about
this
it.
goes back to like the mashup days. Mashups were pretty easy to make for the most part. It didn't mean that 95% of them even were even good enough to play. A lot of them weren't. They didn't sound right. The sound quality wasn't good. Their arrangement was horrible. They were out of key. They weren't timed right. The acapella or vocal was off or whatever. I mean,
They didn't put a drum over the rock drums. Maybe
they weren't quantized. I mean, so many things
I'm guilty
wrong.
of the not quantizing. That's something I regret.
So many things wrong with a lot of them. But still, the cream rose to the top, and mashup was a phenomenon that lasted a couple of years. I mean, just because it's more accessible doesn't make it bad, doesn't make all of it horrible, doesn't mean that people aren't going to rise to the top and be popular for that style.
And you mentioned how I haven't given out any edits really in a while.
Yeah, he's been, those no secrets he's been telling you about, all those edits, they're secret.
No, they're not secret. But I was going to say that one of the reasons I haven't done at least come out with remixes in general in the last few years is because I almost felt embarrassed. I saw the way times were changing from the mashup days to favoring original production, and I was behind in the times. I'm trying to catch up now, and we're getting there. And so I was almost embarrassed. I didn't want to put out anything until I was really ready. I feel like now we're just about ready, working with you and John. And I think I'm going to give out a bunch of stuff right before we come out with our stuff, just to kind of get the mashup days over with. Because I do have some of that, some stuff that I think is pretty creative that I did, some redrums, rock redrums and stuff that I will give out. Maybe I'll throw just like 30 things on the Weekend Weapons just to get all that stuff I never put out of my system and out there. The mashup days will officially be over after that, and then we can put out our stuff maybe.
All right.
Okay.
Look forward to that. All right, so let us know what you think down there in the comments. As always, you can get the audio podcast on iTunes. Search Remix Report. Email us at remixreport@gmail.com. Shout out to everybody I saw in Atlantic City at the DJ Expo. Great meeting everybody and seeing a lot of old friends.
2013. I'm so there.
So
I don't even think we have to say, let us know what you think about Trap in the comments, because I think
we've already said it.
We probably will get a lot of comments to let us know where you guys stand.
All right. See you guys later.
Remixreport.com